Hello, everybody. Y'all look so serious staring at your screens. Hi. Did you find somebody to dye your hair, Isabel?
So I deleted social media from my phone, right? And I was like, I don't know anybody. I don't know hairdressers. I don't do my hair. So maybe we should just shave it or back off. I think I'd be okay. But anyways, I decided, let me post to this women's group that I belong to. And I thought I posted that in the women's group, but apparently it went to my personal page. And I was like, what the hell?
I like it.
Once you leave social media, don't go back. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. I ended up getting sucked in for like 20 minutes scrolling. I was like, and this is why I deleted my phone. Because I'm nosy. I'm a nosy human being. I check other people's lives. That's what
You got to go like 3 levels deep to their cousin, sister's page because they talked about him in one post. You got to figure out who that is.
Oh my God, what? Too nosy for social.
Yep. Glenn's trying to talk to us on mute, I think.
Yeah, it would help if I wasn't muted, huh? Also, it looks like I'm the owner of this, so it looks like it was recording when I came in already. I'll probably have access to this, which is good. All right, Byron, I got to hear the cop story before we get going.
Okay, so I answered one of these free alpha or one of these GTG calls, right? The dude's name is Douglas. If you wanna go listen to this call, and at 5 minutes in, bro he's in the passenger seat. His mom is driving, and she's getting pulled over. He's like, "Dang man, there's some blue lights behind me," and I was like, "Huh?" No shit. Oh, sorry, I know. The police pull his mom over. He starts yelling at the cop. His mom starts yelling at him. And he's like, I'll call you back, man. And he leaves the phone on. So we listen for 3 more minutes of the wild. Then he hangs up and calls me back. And he's still yelling at the cop. And he wants to know about how he can get a low credit score loan. And I'm like, yeah, man, you just go get your credit report and bring it back. And we'll talk about it.
That's awesome. All right, cool. Looks like we've got a good turnout, which is awesome. This will probably not be that long. I've got 6 weeks worth of stuff we got to go over. Again, apologies, everybody. We delayed it last time. Just some conflicting scheduling and whatnot. Well, I'm trying to find one last piece. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's kick this puppy off. Yeah, we got a lot of people, so it was awesome. Okay, let's kick this puppy off. All hands want to go through the normal docket of stuff. I'm going to start it out with some new faces that are here. Primarily, Rocky Belore. Yes, that is how you say it, right? Is our new chief sales officer here, which slightly funny story. Those of you that weren't there, when we were in Michigan the other week for UWM, Rocky, of course, lives in the local area, came out to meet us for one of the dinners. Everybody thought he was one of the servers at the restaurant. That was pretty funny. And then it was like, no, you're the owner of the restaurant, right? So hilarity ensued. Funny times.
And I called out everybody for that.
Yeah. As he sits down, they're like, oh, okay. The help is just helping themselves, I suppose. Very good. But Rocky's here to help steer and work the leads. They're getting pumped into the Go High level system. He's still getting acclimated with everything. Rocky, you and I have known each other for over 10 years now, through different mortgage spaces, Facebook, etc. Great person. You guys are going to love working with him. But please welcome him to the team. So awesome there. Other new faces. Jason, are you on here? There he is. welcome to the show. Okay, Jason's joining us from North Carolina, right? And he had a previous tenure with That Does Deals before they were Be My Neighbor, right?
This is true. Yep.
Fantastic.
2020, 2021-ish.
Love it. So through the boom, Jason's here. He's already diving in on some of the leads as well. Welcome to the team. And Rylan, are you here? Are you in Hawaii or Colorado currently? I never know with this guy.
I'm in Colorado right now. I'll be in Hawaii at the end of June.
There it is. Okay.
His mind's always been in Hawaii.
Yeah. Rylan is fantastic as well. We've got a wealth of knowledge. And remind me, you were at Veterans United at one point, right? Working.
I got my start 2012 with Veterans United, and learned VA loans because that's all they could underwrite for a number of years. And yeah, it's been awesome because the way my mind works is like, if I know I can close it at Veterans United, I can close that deal anywhere. So nowadays I just run it through the filter, like VU would do this, I can do this. And but 2012 to 2017, I had about 4.5-5 years with them.
Awesome. And I should have mentioned as well, Rocky, you cut your teeth at Quicken, right? So we're bringing in experience with working these type of leads for those that are going to be on that side of the house doing stuff. So fantastic there. And then Clyde, is Clyde on here? Out in Georgia. No, I don't think he's on here, but those of you that are in Vetted VA, you know Clyde. He's phenomenal as well. Really, just if you get the chance to talk to him, super nice guy. Not that everybody else isn't, but he's a really nice guy. So good to.
I'm gonna say one thing, guys. Between Jason and Rylan, they're a wealth of knowledge, and they're so open and communicative. If you need anything or need advice, reach out to them, man. They're always down to help. Jason has already come to my rescue a couple times in regards to the leads and automation, things like that. Same with Rylan. So reach out to them, man.
Yeah, and we've got some other people waiting in the wings to come in as well. So we're building an excellent team here. So everyone, welcome to the team. Apologize if I missed somebody, but we'll catch you in the recap email. All right, let's jump into top producers. So first of all, Be My Neighbor, Isabel, killing it, 9 units. It's awesome. Just shy of 3.8 million. Fantastic there. Max, if you're on the call, fantastic job, 3 units. And Erica and Jessica tied for third with 2 units. Jessica, 1.5 million, Max, 1.16 million. Good stuff. Wow, all these confetti things are popping up. Phenomenal. GTG, Steve, great job. I think it's the first time on in the number 1 spot. Well done, Steve. 3 units for 1.3 million. Amy, Tim, Stephanie, and Neil all tied with 2 units. Tim, though, took the cake for volume with 1.5 million on 2 units. Gotta love those California loan amounts. What are you gonna do, right? And Amy rounded it out with 1.2 million. Fantastic. Great job, everyone. Obviously, rates are not completely cooperating with what we want to do, but at least they're not spiking. We're kind of in that full swing at this point, right? Like late spring, some places it's starting to feel like early summer where we're hitting it with the markets. You gotta stay active out there. Obviously, everybody's putting in the work, so great stuff. Okay, personal notes. I know Eric isn't on here. He shouldn't be on here. His wife is being induced today with their baby, so everybody keep him in your thoughts.
I got a picture of the baby already. She's born.
Oh, the baby's out.
I just saw the picture like 20 minutes ago, so I don't know if I'm the only one who got it, but there's a baby out already.
Woo, fantastic. So everybody, go ahead and bombard his messenger. Congrats, all that fun stuff, but keep his family in your thoughts. That's really important. Okay, I'm going to dive into some technical stuff here, just some notes. Again, all of this, you guys, is going to be in that recap email that I want to get out by Friday with information. So anything that I go over here, if you need help with this, I just want to preface this. with this many people, if you need help with something specifically, please reach out separately so that we can go over the stuff. Phones in Go High Level. If anybody's still having any issues, wrong phone numbers, different text numbers, stuff like that, like Jason, we went through some of that stuff this morning, please reach out to Jessica or myself. We'd be happy to jump into Twilio or Go High Level, kind of figure out what's going on there. You can all tell it's a work in progress, right, with those, but we've got a lot of the original numbers ported over and it's looking good. Let's see. COC usage. Mark, you want to touch on this one? Again, and I'll preface this with this, what Mark's about to go over. Thank you for using the anonymous feedback box. Like, please, you guys use that, because we're not trying to call anybody out. It's like, tell us what's up, you know, and this was something that was derived from this, and it just needs clarity. So Mark, go ahead with it.
Yeah, the message that came in was about having or being able to use the specific chat for the specific loan to request COCs for loan amount or fees or whatever it may be. And why can't we just use that instead of using the COC function from the form wizard? The form wizard is, one, things get lost in messages. They get lost in threads. They, you know, sometimes you say, yep, oh, I got that. And then it's you forgot about it. When you have the actual email come into your inbox, awesome, you have it. You're not going to clear that email until you've actually gone through at least requesting the COC. The other reason to make sure that we're using that COC is that I am CC'd on all of it. So if your processor is out, then that COC comes in. I can see who it's going to, what it's for, and then I can go take care of that because I would be coverage for any processor that would be out at the time. So it's a little easier for having that double coverage instead of having me added on to every single loan chat. So that would be that's the main reason there, is just to make sure it's not lost. We get it in and we put in that request for you guys right away.
Documenting it. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Another reminder, arrive dispositioning. Cameron sent out a great email a couple weeks ago. I just wanted to touch on that one more time. Again, the importance of this with having clean disposition files for us to have an accurate MCR, mortgage call report. Those of you that don't know, we have to report to NMLS in the specific states at the end of each quarter of what's going on with our pipeline, what closed, what kind of credit was pulled, who's pre-approved, all that fun stuff. And without accurate dispositions in there, it becomes very difficult, as you can imagine, with the hundreds and hundreds of files that are in there. So it's up to everybody with their responsibility. But Cameron, if you want to touch on that as well, and we'll have that in the wrap up as well.
Yeah, it's mainly the biggest difference to keep in mind is the difference between adversing a file versus archiving a file. If you archive anything, it does not get included in the MCR reports, and it will make the numbers mismatch from quarter to quarter that we've then got to go figure out and see what happened and fix things. So there's a list that we sent out with like an SOP of what the definitions are between when to archive versus when to adverse, and also breaks down and goes into the different adverse dispositions and when they should be used. So just pay close attention to that, and basically just remember that you know, adversing is any time that there is an actual file. Archiving should only be used for accidental duplicates, test files, errors, things like that. So any questions on that, you can reach out to me or of course Mark within ops, and you know, we can help figure all that out. So
awesome. Thank you, Cameron. Okay, some other updates of stuff. I don't know if everybody saw it, kind of went under the radar. Fannie Freddie, AMI. I don't know, does Freddie even have this? I don't know. I always look up the Fannie Mae calculator. AMI updates, the area median income. That moved, I think it was late last week. Only bumped it a few $1,000s here or there. But for those of you that are unaware of what the impact of that means, is it's for certain loan type products, you know, the 80%, 100%, 120. The main thing that I'm using it for is to see if the people fall under 120% of the income if they're a first-time home buyer, to waive all LLPAs on conventional loans. Okay, I've won multiple deals with this because the other lender just didn't even know that that was a thing. And you can wipe out anywhere from a quarter to sometimes 3/4 if their credit isn't that great of LLPA. And all of a sudden it artificially makes our rates look way better. So again, this would be something that you want to reach out to Isabel or to Rocky about specifically of how to do this. Again, Tim, you actually showed me something too, where a guy was advertising, and it was kind of funny. We knew exactly what he was doing, but he was advertising like, hey, it didn't say lower rates, but it was something like, we waive the LLPAs if your income's under this amount for this house, like an open house flyer. And we're like, I see what you're doing. Like, you have an asterisk, you have to be a first-time home buyer, all this kind of stuff. But it was just kind of clever. Rylan, what's up?
So if you're comfortable with it, if you put in Arrive will calculate it, and so will Loan Sifter. Arrive does it kind of automatically because it pulls your income from your tenant.
Oh, right.
But if you put the monthly income into Loan Sifter, it pulls the county and the income limits, and it will automatically apply the LLPA waiver adjuster in your pricing. So don't skip that box just because it's optional. Like, take the extra second, put it in there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great pointer. Yeah, and you have to click their first-time home buyer box.
Correct.
There as well to get it to pick it up. But yeah, then you usually see, hey, there were 7/8 of a hit, and there was a 7/8 LLPA waiver adjustment. So you can see the math broken out. But what's up, Tim?
For jumbo, for the LLPA to be waived, I thought it was 120%, but I thought for conforming it was 100%. Am I wrong on that?
I'm not positive on that.
Okay.
But are you talking high balance or jumbo?
High balance versus conforming.
Yeah, it has to be a high cost county. I'm just used to being in a high cost county for it. I don't know. I'm going to add that to I'll have that in the wrap up.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Awesome there. Some of you may have seen the boiler room has changed names to Go High Level Office Hours. I'm assuming this is going to be this way for a little while. Main reason, of course, the boiler room was fun. It was a good excuse for me to actually block time out and call people if I could get into the damn thing when I had time. But right now with the adoption of Go High Level, all the little technical pieces, people figuring out the little stuff, we wanted to dedicate a time besides, yes, if there's something critical, reach out. But if there's some, you kind of have a little bit of a running list or it's not critical, but I wanted to ask and get other people's input, this is what this is going to be great for, is that office hours time. So we're just repurposing when that boiler room time was. So that's why the name changed on there. Other notes. Speaking of Ryland Sifter, some of you may have noticed, well, I hope you guys have noticed, we set up a sales@bmn.mortgage email address that is now where the Sifter code is going, so that we don't have to pinpoint and go after Isabel or one of her loan partners to get the code. If you're a originator and you need to access Sifter, you should be able to request the code, and it should come to you via the sales@bmn.mortgage email now. If you did not request the code and you see it come in, just ignore the thing. If anybody needs training on how to use Sifter, again, this is a Rocky and Isabel thing that you can reach out to them. Well, Rocky, I know you're not super well versed in Sifter, but it's not that hard. Okay. Yeah. But there's some little tips and tricks in there in order to use it accurately. We are tuning it up, putting the correct investors, which, yes, Jason, I do know that SunWest was in there and they shouldn't have been, or there was something, but we don't want to pull it and have all investors out there. We're trying to narrow it down to who we actually have with the correct comp, the correct caps, states, all that kind of fun stuff. So tuning up Sifter on that side. Let's see, what else do we have?
For the record, we are on with SunWest.
We are?
Yes.
There you go. That's why they were on the list.
I got logged in just last night.
Okay, awesome. All right, other notes. Apparently there was some sort of disturbance with the credit providers. I know this was 2 or 3 weeks back. I think everybody was getting emails of like, hey, you need to have this new login or anything. Nobody needs to have a new login for the credit right now. We are investigating a new credit provider. just because it's like real rocky over at Advantage Plus or anything. Jess, I don't know if you want to touch on, we don't need to get into rumor mill stuff. It's just something of, we might be moving. If we do, it's going to be a very strategic, laid out move, so there's no disruption in credit. That was my biggest concern with them trying to send new logins or anything. So bottom line, no action needed by anybody with credit right now. If you do receive anything from any of the credit providers, please let me know immediately so that we can make sure that they're not trying to mess around with anything. If we do move credit providers, it's going to have all the same rapid rescore, soft credit pulls, all that kind of stuff that we're used to right now, hybrid, all that kind of stuff, but we're still vetting it out. Okay. Hyperfast Title. Okay. So Hyperfast is the title company that Realpha owns. We have come to learn they are in all 50 states, which is cool. Obviously, we all have our favorites, right? For refi, stuff like that, like hyper local stuff, especially for these leads, out of state stuff. You're like, I don't know where, title company is. We have an in-house title company. Okay. We want to start developing that relationship with them. I will have the contact information in the wrap-up email of how to contact them at Hyperfast. You may also see them in other places as Madison Settlement Services. Their DBA is Hyperfast Title. Okay. Mark, if you want to touch on it, I know we've had one, maybe two transactions. Rylan, I don't know if they have a calculator. That's a good question. But Mark, how was I'll put that in there. How was the transaction that we did have with them?
It was a purchase transaction in Florida. April, I believe, is the contact, and she was very quick to respond and very thorough. I enjoyed working with her. Would absolutely work with her again. So,
that's a lot from Mark.
in California, I have an escrow officer that I would go to, but in any other state, I'd be happy to work with them again.
Those of you that don't know Mark, that's high praise, especially for escrow. So it's a good sign. Josh, what's up?
So in what signature states will they just send out a notary or?
No, these are the kind of questions that we need to ask, right? Like Rylan said, do they have a calculator for fees, right? So we have accurate fees. The next question I would have is, are they going to set up, Mark, are we going to set up a template in Arrive, right? So that it's a lot easier to pull stuff for refis, purchases, etc. So this is the infancy of this, Josh. So that's a great question. And we may reach out to everybody in kind of a group format and say, all right, what questions do we have for escrow title? We'll combine them and go to them and then report back, So one, so we don't bombard them, but two, so we can get some answers, Rocky.
So guys, yeah, like Glenn was saying, I know we all have our preferences and our favorite title companies, but that little bit of added revenue will give us the money that we need to do a lot more cool stuff as far as funding our ad spend for leads, stock incentives, things like that. Really, really cool things that we have planned along the way. This will give us that added boost for revenue. And I know it sounds small now, but trust me, it all adds up.
Yeah, thank you, Rocky. And I'm just making a note here to ask everybody about questions they'll have in the wrap-up. Escrow.
Can they be added to smart fees so we can just pull them in a row?
That's one of the things, Amy, that I'm going to get with Mark and Jessica about specifically, so that we can see if that's because I think, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we can create those templates for smart fees, or is it only what's populated in Arrive? I can't remember.
I don't think you can create a template through smart fees. They have to be in smart fees on the back end, but we can
Smart
create
fees is a third party that you go in. It will pull up providers, and so they would have to be on that providers list, and then you select them, and then they're smart fees.
We have the contacts at Arrive. I'm sure that we can get that fee spread and request that to be put in. Let's leverage some of our contacts here. I'm adding that to the list here, Amy. Smart.
You might be able to create a fee template in Arrive with those title fees and whatnot.
That you can do.
Yeah,
Yes.
loan officers just should not check integrated fees when applying or running pricing because that will overwrite, I believe, your template.
Yeah.
The integrated fees box.
Integrated will overwrite any templates that you selected.
Integrated, you said?
Yeah, if you do integrated, that's the smart fees, and Arrive, if you choose integrated, it'll automatically put your smart fees in over the top of whatever you've manually entered.
Got it.
Template.
Thank you guys. Okay, cool. Okay. Last week, can't remember now. Week and a half ago, about 12 or 13 of us went out to UWM, went to their advanced purchase class. It was the most non-advanced purchase class probably was ever in. Speak of the devil, call me right now. They're listening. Still, it was to go out there, see everybody face to face, meet and greet. Those of you that haven't been to UWM, it's an experience, right? You kind of look around like, why is everybody wearing the same pajamas and drinking the same Kool-Aid type stuff? But it's definitely an experience to go out there. I would recommend some of the other classes that they have. For instance, I think it's a self-employed income or just income calculation. A bunch of us went out there last year. That one was very good. Great morale booster headed out there. Anybody have anything? Oh, I have one nugget that we took away that I kind of already knew and then realized a lot of people didn't know. And I was like, oh, that's my fault for not telling everybody later. But was it anybody that was out there? You have any feedback about some stuff that we learned out there?
That's how much we learned.
What's that?
I said that's how much we learned.
Yeah.
Silent.
Well, here's the one thing that came up that I was like, oh yeah, that is right. That's a UWM specific thing, is gift letters. Okay, with UWM, they will take anything at the gift letter or lower. It does not need to be the exact amount that is either wired or a check for a gift. Incredibly helpful when you can set that expectation correctly with a borrower. Right? If they're like, well, we don't know if we're going to wire 35,000 or 43,000, you're like, just give me a gift letter for like 50, because they'll take anything under that, right? For that amount. UWM's unique in the fact there may be another lender out there that allows you to do that, but boy, that alleviates some last minute scrambling where somebody had the damn wire fee taken out of the total amount or something when the gift comes in. You're like, why are you $20 less? What is happening here? Latrina, what's happening?
That makes me wonder, is that not truly a guideline with the investors if UWM has that flexibility?
I believe that's actually Fannie Mae. It will allow that. That's it.
So you're saying, so likely then it's overlays with the lenders that want the exact amount is what I'm thinking.
Okay. Must be,
Yeah.
if they're letting us do it.
Correct. But yeah, UWM, they'll follow it, which is really cool.
I feel like that's something newer with UWM, because I know in the past when I've done gift letters, even UWM made me have exact amounts. So I feel like that's something new. Or
Yeah, we learned that
didn't know.
maybe, what was that, Mark? Maybe like 6 months ago or so. We ran into that where we were like, oh crap, we're gonna need to get a new gift letter. And they're like, we already signed off on it. And I was all, ask them, because we don't want to get caught at the 11th hour, because it was something like a grandma that had to drive and get it like wet signed or something. Or like, we have to do this now. We can't do it in 3 days when they figure this out in funding. Or Melinda, were you on a file like that where they were like, no, that's our policy now? And we're like, it would have been nice to know. It's way easier. So yeah, it's not super recent, but it's also maybe last 6 or 8 months we learned about that. So anyways, they brought that up. Point is, they brought that up in the class. Wanted to share it here because it could be incredibly useful with difficult borrowers with that type of stuff. You're like, look, let me just get one gift letter and to be done with it in that aspect. May also lean into, Latrina, like you were saying, and Mark, if that is truly like a Fannie Mae guideline or a Freddie Mac guideline, well, let's push back, on some of these other lenders. It's like, where do you have that overlay that says you need to have the exact amount on the gift letter? So just a cool piece there. Other UWM news, they are shifting, and I'll have the details in the email. They're shifting their lock policy. Those of you that are used to having 5 free days for us holding a platinum or diamond status or whatever it is as a company, they're going to be shifting it more towards your individual pro ranking. So I'll have the details in the email. Point being is you're going to start banking days. I think it starts in July for lock extensions, but just be aware of that. Those of you that play the game where it's like, I'm going to short lock it because I know I have an extra 5 days and I'll pick up the couple $100. Beware. Don't get caught in their gamification type stuff. Finally, only other point that I had before I wanted to kind of turn it over to an open forum here is GTG specifically. We are moving up, and Sergio, I want you to touch on this. We're moving up your commission pay dates to match what Be My Neighbors are currently. So we're kind of on the same cycle. There no longer be as long of a delay as long as we receive the broker check. So Serge, if you want to, and that was sent out in an announcement a couple weeks ago, but Serge, why don't you touch on that?
Yeah, so that's already been implemented as of the last pay period. So anyone who had a loan fund in the early part of May for GTG has already seen that come into play. Just to touch on it from a dual company perspective and as a whole, the two main conditions you'll want to keep in mind are to get paid out on a loan is to, one, make sure that the funding documents are uploaded and finalized in Arrive. And then two, the broker check has to be received by the company by the last day of the pay period. We are only doing broker checks at the moment. There's a couple of angles and reasons as to why we're doing that. Ultimately, I hope that it is a short-term answer and that we will be able to move to wires full-time, and that will help speed things up, especially at the end of the pay period. One of the biggest drawbacks that we're trying to overcome, and I think we're just about there, is that we were getting charged for wires anywhere between $20 and $30 a wire, which doesn't sound like a lot until you consider that BMN did 415 loans last year, and that's $13,000 just in wire fees. So it's something that we're trying to work around. My ultimate goal is to get you guys paid as quickly as possible. So just know that that is on the horizon. In the short term, I'm working on a notification in Arrive for both companies that I will be able to let you know when the broker check has been received via an automated email. So we are working on the communication. I know that's been something a few of you have brought up as far as that goes. So if anyone has any questions, needs help tracking things down, is looking for specific examples on how one of their loans funded might play out, please don't hesitate to email me or Google chat me or whatever it is. But yeah, hopefully this helps everyone going forward.
Cool. Amy, what's happening? Are you muted still? You went off my screen after you raised your hand.
For Sergio, when I'm closing a file out, because we got the signed docs and everything, we're trying to separate the CD for you to make it faster so you don't have to sift through the docs. Is there anything else that you need us to pull out that would make things easier for you?
In a perfect world, the CD, the final CD and the broker demand would be individually finalized. But I'm not going to lose sleep over if a closing package is in there all lumped together. I know what a CD looks like. I can go find it. So
I'm reviewing the package anyway, so I just figured since I'm there, I might as well.
Sure. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Coolness. All right. And Jamie, I think you had an update for us on the AI front.
We do. So a couple things going on. I'll start with the AI front because this has been kind of going on behind the scenes for coming up on 2 months now. We are about to launch some testing of an AI loan officer assistant. And our goal here has always been never to replace people, but rather to help us help more people. And so Glenn and I have been deep into working with Namche to start to build something out. And here's what the initial AI LOA will do for us. And I think you guys are going to agree that this is going to be a huge time saver. So the first thing it's going to do is you send out an app link and the borrower completes part of it. They upload some of the supporting docs, or they upload the supporting docs and they label a document as a pay stub, but it's really something else entirely. The AI will read the attachments and determine whether it is actually the document that it is labeled as. And it will also recategorize and relabel the documents in accordance with our standard document labeling system, which makes everyone's life along the life of the loan much better, because you as a loan officer or loan partners or assistants don't have to go in and resave and rename and recategorize and label everything. The second thing that it's going to do that I believe is probably one of the biggest time savers is it's going to read the documents and compare them to the loan application. Here's an example. The borrower lists their date of birth on the loan application as August 21st of 1982, but there is a document somewhere within, maybe it's their ID, and it shows August 21st of 1983. The system will create a dashboard for you. It will show you green check boxes for all the things it reconciled that do match, and red X's for all the things it reconciled that may not match, and gives you the ability to go in yourself and validate whether there is really a mismatch, or is this a one-off scenario in which there's something or some reason why a thing doesn't match, and you can then clear those warnings. The third thing that it's going to do is it's going to calculate standard W-2 borrower income. Eventually, we want it to have the ability to calculate even more complex income. But Glenn and I felt that for the first iteration, because we're going to have to, all of us are going to have to test it and break it, we wanted to go with the most standard, most simple income calculations possible. And much in the same way that the dashboard is going to give us our green check marks or our red X's, it's also going to populate its income calculation, what was on the loan application, and it's going to show you what it came up with and how. So that if you've done a calculation that differs from it, you can look and determine, did I make an oversight, or is the LOA, for some reason, not calculating it correctly, which we can then go back and program to do right. So there'll be some testing here. I'll ask for a handful of volunteers who would be willing to run this AI LOA alongside your own normal processes, your own manual calculations, and start comparing the results so that we can fine tune it. And as we fine tune it and teach it to do more complex scenarios, eventually it can do even more of the process of the loan, again, to help us do what we do best. Processors should be working with underwriting to clear conditions, reaching out to all the parties in the transaction to make sure they know what we need, watching our deadlines, making sure all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Loan officers should be out there guiding their clients, helping them into the right loan program, making sure they understand the loan they're getting, being the relationship expert that's building relationships with everybody in the transaction. The more we can do the things that are our highest and best use and plug in AI to really do the busy work and be the paper pushers with human validation, I think the more effective we're going to be. And to my knowledge, we're the only ones building anything like this. So it's really exciting. Now let's talk about the lead stuff. So look, you guys have been amazing with your feedback. Please keep it coming. If you repeat yourself, keep repeating yourself. As you've seen, every time we put something new into place, it inadvertently unwinds something else. Example, we had the phone numbers going great for several weeks. All of a sudden, we turned on Ava Alpha to handle some of the initial lead stuff, and for no explainable reason, phone numbers started reverting back to your personal cell phones. Certainly wasn't part of the scope, but yet somehow it happened. So every time these little things are happening, we're reporting them to Namche, and that's our tech team over in Nepal. The only thing I would ask for is your patience, because they are on a completely different time zone than us. They're like 11, 12 hours different. So when I'm telling them something, let's say at 11:30 in the morning, they're not going to see it until tonight. Most of the time, they'll fix it overnight, and it'll be done by the time we get in the morning. But sometimes they have questions and we have to have a little bit of back and forthing, and it might take 2 or even sometimes 3 days to fix an issue. But your feedback is critical so that we can keep enhancing and fixing all of the little tweaks. So as you guys saw, and for those that aren't in the leads chat or didn't know, one of the things that we recognize is that when we are getting leads from social media ads and other online sources, they're cold, right? They're cold, and it's very likely that the lead is also applying elsewhere or inquiring in a place other than just us. rather than assigning the leads to you immediately, like we were doing, and the whisper calls, which we showed got insanely out of hand and overwhelming, we built Ava to be our concierge, and she is the one reaching out to the leads initially and keeping them on a follow-up campaign until they reply. Ava is not presenting herself as a licensed loan officer, is not using any language to indicate she's a loan officer, and is not doing anything deep with our leads. But what she is trying to do is stay top of mind with them to get them to reply. And then when they reply, that lead will be assigned in the round robin fashion for anybody that has opted into leads, and a different set of messaging from you kicks in. Now, there's going to be some stuff to fix. For example, we had somebody reply and say, my name is not Jose, but it kicked right in, and the loan officer who was assigned said, hi, Jose. It's like he just told Ava that he's not Jose. So we've got to work out some of the kinks in that. But our goal is that Ava becomes the front line of all leads, and that no leads go directly to any of you until they've responded, which means that you're not dealing with cold leads. You're dealing with leads that have actually replied and engaged and would be considered to be more serious. The same automation is going to happen, but we've cut the whisper calls down. You will get one and only one whisper call, and it will be at the moment that the lead has responded, which alerts you that we actually have a live one. There will be no reminder whisper calls, no, hey, don't forget to follow up with this person, because what we've figured out is there's already automation running in the background. It just becomes like, am I getting a whisper call because it's a 2-day follow-up from one I got before, or am I getting a whisper call because it's a new lead? You will only get them on new leads that have replied, which is A, going to cut down on them, and B, it's going to tell you, hey, I actually have a live one. Cool, I'm going to try to reach out. Stacy, what you got?
So quick question on that with the existing leads that are already in there that are on the current workflow, are those going to stop as well?
Good question. The goal is yes, but to do that effectively, Namche has to go back into the main lead automation and shut off all the whisper calls along the way. I wanted to first wait and make sure Ava works, and as you've seen, work out some phone number stuff and some other things that have gone wrong. And once we kind of like feel like that's running well, we'll shut off the whisper calls completely on existing leads and ongoing follow-up so that you guys aren't still getting pelted. I know Isabel started getting slammed for some reason this morning. I have no explanation. There's nothing that we told them to change within the works. I do not know why that happened, but we've reported it, and they'll probably have it fixed by the time we wake up tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
You got it. A couple other updates for you. We are submitting for our Nevada company license this week. Thank you to Cameron for the absolutely extraordinary work. It appears Nevada is not running behind right now, and the process of getting a license is much quicker than we've seen in the past. Utah is currently preliminarily approved, and we're about to move a new team addition over probably beginning of next week to be our Utah in-state loan officer, which means the company will be licensed in Utah as well, which expands our footprint. And I think that as we move forward, we're going to start planning out the next states. Ohio has been coming up a lot. Illinois has been coming up a lot. I feel like those are two that are really, really good. I've heard a lot of chatter about New York. New York is historically next to impossible. We might actually have to have conversations with broker owners in New York who might want to align with us in some way. So just know it's on the roadmap, but it's a toughie. So those are my updates on our growth and our integration. Does anybody have any questions, or can I answer anything else for you? All right. Exciting stuff. Feedback coming, please.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that AI thing is going to be cool. I know both Jamie and I have gotten a little glimpse at the dashboard. It's kind of like, I think of it as the first stages are going to be like, can this thing name stuff correctly? That'll be a huge help alone, right? With just naming documents correctly. Then validation pieces of, oh, it's different on the W-2 than where they actually work, because it's Kaiser and Oakland versus wherever, stuff like that. It's kind of like DU 2.0. Right? It'll be a validation system for us to just get faster and more accurate. Absolutely not replacing anybody, just make us more efficient. So great stuff there. Otherwise, we got a few more minutes. I wanted to open it up, just kind of open forum, any topics on the table that people want to go over, any lender updates perhaps Been a little disconnected from what's going on. Obviously, only tuned into UWM because we were just there. Does anybody have anything on the EPM front? Oh, I do have one thing. We're just finalizing a Maris over at BMN. Is another lender. We use them a lot. They've got great VA pricing. So we've used them in the past there. But what's up, Jess?
I just wanted to clarify with the EPM stuff. When you have a VA loan there and you wanted to send it to vetted VA, TPO, you're just using the EPM pricing and then make sure on your submission sheet that it's listed as EPM or vetted VA instead of EPM. There's no way in Arrive for us to differentiate between the two, but the processing and pipeline managers will just set it up in vetted VA TPO. So just know if you're looking for VVA TPO, it's straight EPM pricing.
Which Jessica or Jamie, can either of you guys elaborate a little bit and give a little bit more context on what VVA TPO is versus the normal channel of VA at EPM for those of us that don't know?
Yeah, and there might be some exciting changes coming up because VVA TPO is actually working really well. So what we have with vetted VA TPO is a hand-picked team with an underwriting manager who is a VA star and has extensive VA knowledge, and a team, a very small team of underwriters who are well-versed in VA, and they've also taken the vetted VA training, which is key because any of us who've taken it know. That used to be my Sunday morning. Here we go. But what does that mean? It means they know where to go. If they think something is a no, but it isn't a no, they'll go to the guide and they'll get the truth. We have a dedicated account manager, dedicated pretty much disclosure team, everything from setup through the entire loan process are handpicked people who understand VA, and also some of the EPM team members who've been there a long time and are really good and kind of vetted and know their stuff. So it should be a great experience. My last brokerage, I think I closed about a dozen with vetted VA TPO. I was purposely funneling all of our VA there to test it and break it and do all the things we needed to do. It was a vastly superior experience to the typical EPM flow, so much so that EPM is considering mirroring it for the rest of their VA business. So I'd give them a shot.
One thing I want to add to that too is they have a Zoom room that you can jump into on EPM's website now. I've used it several times. There's like 3 underwriters that sit in that room. You jump in, they take your question and they funnel you off to an underwriter, and that underwriter will get you an answer with the guidelines because they don't do TBD approvals anymore. But if you have a question about something specific, they'll look at it, whether it's submitted to them or not. I've been on there 2 or 3 times and got answers from the underwriter. You get an email back. It's really great. So if you have something that you're questioning, jump onto that Zoom room. It's just on EPM's main page. I don't think it's on vetted VA's page yet, but I know if you go to EPM Experience and log in, you can see the Zoom room up there, and you just hop in and talk to them, and it's really
Sounds kind of like what Windsor had with their underwriters. We're on like a duty shift in a Zoom room.
Penny might have something that there's a Zoom room you can jump into with Penny. I know a couple.
The funny thing is, everybody's kind of like, okay. When you actually need it and you use it, you go, that was incredibly helpful.
It's great. It's really great.
They're in there like waiting. They're like, oh, somebody that can help. Like, okay. They're like, what do you want to know? They're like, no, you can't do that. You're like, all right, good to know. All right.
Exactly.
Coolness. All right. Anybody have any other lender specific stuff, any topics they want to cover before we wrap it here? No? Cool. Awesome. I appreciate everybody showing up. I will have the wrap up email out by Friday. And again, any tech specific issues or anything, please reach out individually. Happy to help on that front. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Wednesday. It's Wednesday today. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.